Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. So to go in my video yesterday, which was all about budget unusual effects, we're going to be doing some budget unusuals that actually look good today. I made a video like this a year or so ago. I don't actually remember when. I might flash the thumbnail on screen right now if I can find it. But I did one of these a while ago and I decided I'm actually going to do another episode of it to show you guys some more budget unusuals that actually look good, since so much stuff has changed since that last video, and I just thought it'd be kind of cool. So the max amount of keys I'm going to be setting as a price for an unusual is 30 in this video. It means I can get decent hats with decent effects and stuff like that, and you're not going to be looking at some very boring heavy unusuals with nuts and bolts for most of it. And this video is also going to be split up into two parts, so we're going from the scout to the Demoman today, and then in a few days we'll be going from the heavy to the spy, and that'll be done. Mainly because I don't want to make a super long video and bore you guys with it, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Two more things I need to say. One of them is that these are backpack.tf prices, so some of them might be outdated. They could be changing quite a bit with all of the unusuals that have been unboxed recently. And also, this is my personal opinion. So you guys might not like some of the hats that I've picked. You guys might not like some of the effects, but that is alright as well. Obviously, you can just look on backpack.tf for a lot of budget unusuals that you want to find. But these are some of my opinion, or these are my opinions that I think are some of the better ones. And my taste of hats might be very different to yours, and that's okay. So if you don't like some of the hats in this video, I'm sorry. Maybe you'll like some in the next one. I don't know. Without further ado though, let's get right into this. So for the scout, I've decided I'm actually going to be doing two hats for each class. So one's a slightly more expensive one and one's a slightly cheaper one, but they're the same hat. So for the scout, I've chosen the Fed Fighting Fedora, and the first lower set is the Blizzardy Storm effect, which is 16.5 keys at this time. And Blizzardy Storm is just honestly a simple effect. It's really nice, really clean, very popular actually, considering it's such a low tier effect. And honestly, it just looks great. So 16.5 keys on a Fed Fighting Fedora, which is a pretty decent hat as well. Like that's used to be a kind of higher tier one. I don't think it is anymore, obviously, but either way, it's a pretty nice hat, and for 16.5 keys, you're getting a pretty decent item. Not gonna lie, like that is pretty decent value for something like that. And then the more expensive option is Disco Beatdown with 26 keys. Like I said in my video yesterday, at the time, whenever this goes out, my favorite budget effect ever, I guess you could say, is Disco Beatdown, and it's my favorite effect in overall. But because it's so cheap, it looks amazing, and it's honestly just one of the best effects in the game. And getting it on a hat like the Fed Fighting Fedora, which is actually a decent hat as well, you've done a pretty good job to get it for 26 keys, which is the actual price of it on backpack.tf right now. So it's definitely worth getting it if you like the Fed Fighting Fedora, and Disco Beatdown is something that you're into. Okay, so for the soldier, this is probably the first hat I thought that people would start to disagree with me on, and that is the stainless pot, and I honestly do kind of like it. It's one of those hats that maybe isn't the most popular out there, but some people like it, some people don't, and that's completely fine as well. But the first effect I've chosen for it is Vivid Plasma, as you can see on the screen right now, and that is 29 keys, so that is pretty much going straight to the edge of the budget. And these ones are a little bit more expensive than the Fed Fighting. The cheaper option is not actually that cheap, but the Vivid Plasma is the more expensive option. Vivid Plasma, actually, a lot of people pointed out, was actually a pretty decent budget effect. It was going to go in that last video, but I didn't want to do too many effects because, once again, don't want to bore you guys with some random hats and effects that aren't that interesting. But either way, Vivid Plasma Stainless Pot, 29 keys. It looks really clean. It looks awesome. So if you're into it, go get it. And a slightly cheaper option is TF logo, and I said in yesterday's video that this TF logo was going to feature quite a bit, and it does, but this one is 26 keys. It's still quite expensive compared to the Fed Fighting Fedora's lower item or lower price range, but either way, TF logo is a very nice effect. It's very clean. Like I said, probably one of my favorite effects in the game actually. So if you're into it, then obviously it's there. If not, there are some cheaper options that are slightly lower tier effects, but I wanted to kind of pick some decent effects and some decent hats, and maybe this one might not be for you. I don't know. For the Pyro, I've chosen the Old Guadalajara. I don't know if I say that right anytime I do it, but the cheapest option you can get, or the cheaper option for this video, is Terawatt with 16.5 keys, which isn't actually that bad. Like the Old Guadalajara, while it is a very simple hat and it's kind of it's not really as good as the Flamboyant Flamenco or something like that, or I don't really like it as much as that hat, but it's still a pretty sick looking hat, and I still really like this. I know Chloe Mew uses this as her like Pyro icon hat and stuff like that as well, and it's not actually that expensive when you get into the higher tier effects either, compared to some other Pyro hats. I mean, like not cheap in just general trading terms, but still fairly cheap compared to some other insane hats. So 16.5 keys for a Terawatt or Guadalajara, which is a decent hat and a decent effect, is pretty good. And the more expensive option is one of the newer effects in Neutron Star. Now, Neutron Star got unboxed a lot, but it is still a pretty decent effect, and it still looks kind of cool. And I definitely think on the Pyro you can make it work with something. I'm not 100% sure what it would be. If you have any ideas for that, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. But Neutron Star is actually a decent effect. I do quite like it. I have it on a couple of hats that I own myself, and I don't really hate it. Like, I do actually quite enjoy using the effect, and you can definitely do some cool stuff with it. And finally, we have the Demoman with probably one of my old favourite hats in the game, the Scotsman's Stovepipe. And the first one I wanted to talk to you guys about is the cheaper one, which is TF logo again, and that is only 13 keys. It's such a clean hat, such a clean effect, and they're just both so amazing. And for 13 keys, like, that is barely anything. You could buy 10 keys to start trading and maybe even quick buy this item. Like, people don't really like this. This is where I kind of get into like my element with the fact that I really like a lot of lower tier hats, and I really like a lot of lower tier effects. So this one for me is absolutely perfect. I absolutely love this hat, and I'm actually tempted to go and find one now and buy it because I really like it so much. And you know, for 13 keys, you're doing amazing for that, and you definitely just can't go wrong. And the more expensive option for the Scotsman's Stovepipe is Disco Beatdown at 26.5 keys. Once again, Disco Beatdown, insane effect, love it so much. With the Scotsman's Stovepipe, which is an insane hat, which I also love a lot. Dude, you're just doing so well, and you can't go wrong with a lot of these hats. I feel like Demoman's probably my favourite one that I've picked so far. There's some pretty decent effects that are, or decent hats and effects that are going to be in the next video. So if you have any budget hats that you actually want to be shown in those next videos, like maybe if you have a really cheap heavy hat that looks great, or a really cheap spy hat or something like that that looks awesome, then please let me know in the comments, and let me know what you would replace some of these hats with as well. I know a lot of people might not like the hats that I'm showing in this one, and some of you guys might have different budgets, so these are too cheap or these are too expensive. I don't really know. Like, for a general trader and for a pretty decent trader, 30 keys I feel as a max is actually kind of a low point. Like, I always thought that for a Dream Unusual or something like that, it's like 100 or something like that was kind of the range I always looked at. Might be wrong with that, I don't really know. But anyway, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you did enjoy it, and I'll see you all tomorrow with another one. I'm sorry about no live stream today either, but we'll make it up tomorrow. Anyway, goodbye.